your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch this review of the latest Mission Impossible movie. This review will begin in 5 seconds. Oh! Ah! Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, the 7th Mission Impossible movie, has turned out to be one of my favorite movies of the year so far. As is typical with a movie in this franchise, you get to see Tom Cruise run some more, and well, he just runs a lot. He's back as IMF agent Ethan Hunt, who once again is tasked with assembling a team to go on an impossible mission of stopping a very dangerous global threat where the stakes could not be higher. This is a spoiler-free review, so I won't be getting into any specifics about what that particular threat is. But I will say that unlike the previous Mission Impossible movies, which have had a spy list that needed to be recovered or a virus or dangerous weapon that was about to be unleashed, they went into a slightly different direction, and I think it worked really well here. But I will say that there is an incident involving a Russian submarine at the beginning of the movie which triggers the IMF into taking action. There's plenty of good villains in this movie, lots of suspense and action, and I think it's great. I did go back and rewatch the previous Mission Impossible movies before seeing this one, and I'm glad I did, because you do have returning characters played by Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames and Rebecca Ferguson, but there are also nods to some of the previous Mission Impossible movies that I might have missed had I not done that. There seems to be a consensus that Mission Impossible 2 is the weakest link in this series, and I tend to agree with that, even though there are parts of that movie that I do enjoy. But since Ghost Protocol came out in 2011, this franchise really kicked into high gear, and since then these movies have become highly entertaining and rewatchable. And the same goes for this movie. This franchise has become like a well-oiled machine where you expect a really great action-adventure blockbuster product, and it delivers. This movie is full of thrills, jaw-dropping stunts, well-choreographed car chases and fights, which are all beautifully shot. There's also enough humor in it that it adds another level of enjoyment to all the action that's going on. This is the longest Mission Impossible movie so far, with a runtime of about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And while that sounds long, it certainly didn't feel that way. I was glued to the screen the entire time. This movie just flew by, and it was over before I knew it. This is part 1 of Dead Reckoning, which of course means that there are things in the plot which won't get resolved until part 2 gets released, currently scheduled for sometime next year. But I wasn't let down by the fact that this movie ended with basically a to be continued, because there are enough events and developments that occur in this movie that it essentially stands on its own, and I was satisfied enough with everything that went on in this movie that I didn't feel like I needed to see the sequel right away, which I think speaks really well to the cast and crew that put this movie together. The special effects are great, and the movie really does stand on its own. A new addition to the cast is Hayley Atwell, whose character is a common thief by trade and finds herself caught up in a much more dangerous scheme than she ever realized when she crosses paths with Ethan Hunt. The only minor complaint I have has to do with one of the new characters, Gabriel, who was one of the villains in the movie. I didn't have an issue with the actor playing him, he was pretty good. It has to do with the character's backstory, and it's explained that he had a past connection to Ethan Hunt, and on a prior mission it ended in a tragedy, but this character's backstory didn't really seem to serve the plot or provide much benefit to what was going on. He just came across as a typical Mission Impossible villain, and we've seen plenty of those already. Maybe it will somehow play out better in part 2, but it didn't quite work here. But overall, the movie's great. The most memorable scene is actually shown in the trailers, where Tom Cruise rides a motorcycle off a freaking cliff, and it looked breathtaking. I saw this on a giant screen, and it was well worth the additional ticket price I paid to see it. Tom Cruise is excellent in the movie. You can tell he's really invested in this role. He loves playing this character, and it shows. This is a great action movie, it's really entertaining, and this franchise shows no signs of slowing down. So I'm going to give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 a 9 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out my movie review. I really appreciate it. Be sure to give the video a quick like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.